How would you best describe your sound?
I try every day. No, that's a good question. It's guitar based singing, and so that should be the most familiar thing to convey to anyone: guitar and vocal. Um, it's one of the only projects I have where I really, really focus on that though, because I come from playing electronic music or playing experimental music. So I would describe this as being like moody, minimal guitar, vocal music.
Um, and who would you consider your biggest musical influences?
My biggest influence is plural. That's helpful. I don't think I could cite just one, but um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I always felt compelled to pick up a guitar and write because of records that I grew up hearing in the home, like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and Beatles and things like that. So that's what I grew up listening to, and then found inspiration finding artists that I could relate to more for my own generation, I guess. So I got really excited to listen to more experimental, noisy guitar stuff, but then always kind of came back to those records I grew up with. So yeah, I like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and artists like that because they can really hold you in a space and kind of make you feel. They can make you feel blue. They can make you feel sad. Comforted at the same time. And I think that's something that I like to try to convey with my music.
Uh, Joni was one of my favorites when I was in high school. Got me through senior year.
Yeah.
Uh, the Beatles is something actually my husband and I bond over. So we have like
Yeah.
our favorite albums and songs, and
Mhm.
we sing them a lot at home. So I'm like, I totally get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I know you're working on an upcoming album.
Mhm.
What are some of the themes that you're going to be exploring on that upcoming album?
It's a good question. I have actually finished a record that it's totally done, and I'm just as we musicians, this is probably quite ubiquitous for many of people making creative art these days, is we have to sort of also be our best champions and our own agents and our own record labels, and so I have an album that's done that's just sitting there because I don't have the mental capacity to put it out. So in the meantime, I've already started another record. The record, because I was just like, I'm putting some new stuff together that I'm going to be performing at South by, and I was writing lyrics, and I realized, probably like a lot of people, I can't help but feel a sense of like frustration and anger and disappointment and everything happening in the current climate of our Western world, maybe the whole world, certainly the United States. So that's been sort of reoccurring in all the writing I've done in the last well over a year and a half, 2 years. Um, Whereas the album that's already finished is probably a little bit more along the lines of my usual writing structure, which was just basically writing about trying to find my place, writing from the position of somebody, maybe an outsider or something, maybe something I like to romantically think of myself as the outsider looking for some sense of belonging. So I think that kind of infuses itself in all my writing, and that's a big thing on the record that's finished and coming out next. But otherwise, right now I'm just all doom and gloom.
Well, I know with the new album, one of them that you worked on, you worked with artists like Julie Duran and Alex Edkins of Metz. What was it like getting to work with them?
Oh, great. I really wish I had the opportunity to work with Julie one on one together because I'm out here in rural Nova Scotia, so I'm on the east coast of Canada. But she's an East Coaster as well. She's one province over. So we were trying to get together to work in the same environment together because we that would have been a little more intimate, and we couldn't quite get that to happen. So she recorded at home and sent me the files. But around that same time when we were discussing this and trying to work together, we did play some shows together. So at least I feel the connection of knowing her well, knowing what it's like to play music with her. Um, But in the case of this one, the song was done, and I really felt like somebody else should sing the chorus. So I sent it to her, and she sang it beautifully. Um, and then Alex and I we're like best of buds. We've been playing music together for quite a while. However, being out here in Nova Scotia, I moved like 5 years ago. I'm somewhat isolated from a lot of my peers, and so Alex and I don't get to hang out as much as we used to. So this new record, the one I'm putting out next, is one that I had the pleasure of going back to Toronto to make. So it was a lot of fun for me to go back to those friendships, including Alex. You know, I was working every day with my friend Gavin in the studio, and we had a nearly finished record, but we brought Alex in. We were both just really hungover, and and he played a lot of guitar. I just kind of let him do whatever he wanted, and then after he left, I just kind of like chopped it down to like a very hooky, succinct bit of music. And yeah, he's fun because he has a lot of energy. He's a good. I done this with the previous Dusted record as well. Like I bring him in when it's almost done because he hears it and he'll kind of make fun of me. He'll say like, "What the fuck, man? Like, don't you want to be famous or whatever?" Because I've deliberately made my songs so minimal and I'm maybe trying to keep some distance between myself and the listener or something, and he always wants to just kick all that away. And so on the previous record he convinced me to put drums in some spots, so he's a good cheerleader to come in at that level and kind of get me excited about it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we know you've been recording. Tell us a little bit more about your songwriting process. Do you work with the music first or lyrics first?
Yeah, I work with the music first. It's very important to me. There's different processes I have with different bands that I play in. So with Holy Fuck, we get together and collaborate and write in the moment, and it's a very shared experience. We sometimes will bring in an idea from home, but often it's about an energy that we're sharing. However, for Dusted, it has been always been for me, really, I like to compare it to daydreaming. Like it's a very therapeutic, peaceful thing for myself when I'm home and I'm alone. um, Chances are if I pick up a guitar, it's most likely to write rather than to work on something already written or to practice or to work on scales or whatever. Or I've never been very disciplined. So ever since I was a kid and I started learning guitar, I would just start writing. Like I'd pick it up and I'd just start writing something new because that's, I think, the most joyful thing of playing. So yeah, I pick up my guitar and I just start strumming chords and putting something together on the guitar that informs a melody and an emotion. I think so much is already there. There's so much emotion already conveyed, hopefully within the rhythm, the space, the tonality, that my first singing is always phonetics. So it's just usually like, and in my brain I don't realize I'm not singing words because I've already made a connection and I already really like feel quite intimately engaged in the song. And it's only when someone else might come in the room and be like, "Oh, play me a song," and I'm like, "Wait a minute! All the songs I've written don't actually have real words. They just have me mumbling, or they have me oohing or awing." And so the lyrics are always the very last thing where I feel like I have to take what I've already done and learn to turn it into something that communicates to other people. So I try to make the words fit not only the mood but also the phonetics that I've already started to bring into it, like certain kind of enunciations and things that I think lend themselves quite well to the song and to the pacing and to the melody. Um, and of course, I want those lyrics to be good, but and and not to dismiss lyrics, but when I listen to music for the first time, I feel like I make such a, if I like it, if I like something that somebody plays me, if I'm listening to something new or checking out a new band, I've already kind of made a commitment that I like it. I'm already like, this is great. And it's not for a while that there's another part of me that says, hey, what are they saying? It's like always the last thing for me to pick up as a listener as well. So I think that's kind of how I write. I put the lyrics at the end, just like as a listener, I pay attention to the lyrics last.
Okay. Um, what message or emotion do you hope listeners will take away from listening to your music?
I think, yeah, that's a good question. I know that there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of music out there. So I don't feel the need to sort of like express everything. Like I can't be everything to a listener. So I don't mind hopefully playing the role of somebody who's going to maybe sing about things that are a little bit sad or like I said, a feeling of isolation or a feeling of alienation, those kind of things that come through in my lyrics. I hope that if somebody's listening to it, they can relate, but hopefully it gives them a sense of comfort. Um, because I've rarely succeeded at making a pop song, so or a song that expresses what a pop song might like. I would love to have a pop song. I'd love to have successful songs, but I think they would be heartbreak songs. I don't know if I can sing about like let's have a good time, let's party tonight. So I try to maybe be the other guy that singing about the next morning, the morning after the party when you kind of feel blue and then you need that comfort. So hopefully that's what I'm gonna provide people with.
I mean, those are some of the best songs, you know. Not every
Yeah,
song needs to be happy to be good.
exactly. Well, that's it. I think when I was a kid, I would hear everything on the radio, but when it came time to making my first mixtapes, I didn't put the songs that I heard on the radio because I already heard them. You could turn on the radio; they would already be there. So my mixtapes became very personal, and then they became I would only find the sad songs. I'd find the deep cut on every record and put them on my mixtape. So the whole thing had like this cinematic, like lonely vibe that I'd listened to on the school bus as a teenager or something. So yeah, because you're already going to hear all the other things the moment you turn on the radio.
Now, big question because it's South by Southwest. How did the opportunity to perform at South by Southwest come to fruition?
Um, it was always on my radar when I was younger, as like a really cool thing to hopefully aspire to play. And then I had the good fortune of being accepted, filling out the applications and with my band Holy Fuck. So that was sort of the first thing that I had conceived and put together that resonated with people. And I think the name kind of got people's attention. And maybe the timing was good for the style of music we were playing. So because I know people can be cynical. Like a lot of people say, well, don't bother going to these festivals like South by Southwest because they're very busy. There's a lot of bands and it's hard to get anybody's attention. Um, but I personally had really, really great experiences with when I was younger and first went with my other band because we did connect with people and we did secure a booking agent and meet press people and we had our first publicist and things did come for us from South by. And it's been 10 years. So I haven't gone back to Austin in 10 years. It's actually been probably 2013 when I was last there. Um, I was supposed to go back when the pandemic came, like it canceled the whole US tour. And, that then subsequently canceled more tours. It just happened that we haven't been back. So this year, I really kind of decided to put an application in because I just miss it. Like I miss being down south. I'm living like I'm looking out my window right now. I'm in cold Canada,
Hmm.
and yeah, and I think there's a sort of homesickness I'm feeling for the road, feeling for touring, feeling for a missing certain feeling that I get when I get down to Austin. So I'm glad that they selected my band to come. Yeah, that's the long answer.
Trust me, I know the cold. I live in New Jersey, so it is
Yeah.
still chilly here. And there was at least a couple of days that they were saying that the temperatures were colder than like Alaska. And I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
it's
It's
chilly.
been a really cold winter, hasn't it?
Oh gosh, I'm ready for warmer weather.
I know.
I'm so ready for it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, me too.
So, with performing at South by Southwest, will your set list feature some of the new music that you've been working on?
It will, yeah. I kind of used it as a incentive to get a couple new songs finished. I guess that's the way it works. You always need a deadline, right? You always need something to kick you in the pants. So we're gonna play brand new songs as well as songs from the record that's done and hasn't come out yet, and then a few of the ones that people will know.
Sounds great. And which artists or events are you most looking forward to seeing yourself at South by Southwest?
Oh, that's a good question. I hope I get to. That's the nervousness I have now because with Dusted, I'm playing 3 shows, and then I head to Valley of the Vapors Festival in Arkansas. So it'll be busy enough as it is to try to cover those 4 shows. But holy fuck, we're playing another 9, I think.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I have a DJ set, so I'm going to be really busy, and I'm afraid I won't see anything, and I'm hoping not. Like I hope I get to see stuff. Um, we'll hopefully get to see some friends. That's the irony of these things. You go all the way there, and you want to see something new or something really like exciting. That's like a big new thing, and you. What I've experienced is I usually just end up hanging out with my friends and seeing my friends' bands play. However, this year I don't know a whole lot of people playing. I'm going to be playing late Friday night with Immersion. That's Colin and Malka Newman. Colin Newman is from the band Wire, and he's a good friend of mine. Um, so I'm looking forward to connecting with him and Malka. I'm trying to think of what other artists I know that I'm going to be playing with. I'm going to be playing with. I somebody texted me the other day and told me that it's going to be playing with the Egyptian Lover, which I did not know I was going to be playing with. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I got to really look at the schedule. I got to see what there is.
Oh, I know. I'm like, I trust me. I wish I was in Texas. I'd be going to see so many shows at this
Yeah,
point.
what? Oh, I need to ask. What would you be going to see? Anything off the top of your head?
Who would I want to see?
Yeah,
I'd want to go see Band of Horses. Love
yeah,
the band. Um,
yeah. It feels like I've seen them at South by, so it'd be appropriate to see them again there. Yeah.
uh, so as you've played it before, what does it mean to you to perform at South by Southwest? I mean, it's such like a prestigious, festival. It's
Hmm.
huge. Everybody knows it.
Hmm.
So what does
Yeah,
it
I
mean
think.
to you?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, going back to the anecdote I shared of first getting accepted, that was a real uh, honor for me because it may be the Canadian stigma. It feels like there's a lot of bands that work really hard within their own communities and struggle to get out, to struggle to make those connections to play outside of their own communities where maybe they do well and play on their own stages and have their own following, but then to take that elsewhere. That's really the honor of it all. Honestly, it's just to go somewhere where there are people that know me and know my music and are excited to see me in such a different environment, such a different climate, so such a different vibe in that city. It really has always been just a mark. It's just a sense of achievement to be able to do what I do outside of my own community, outside of my own country.
Okay. And ooh, last question. What would you like to say to your fans and supporters of your music?
Wow. Thanks. That's all I can say. I hate to say that I have a new record that's not out yet, but I think it's I think there's probably a lot of musicians who feel the same way I do. Like it's a lot of hard work and a lot of the community and the infrastructure that used to be there, whether it was good or bad, whether a record label was manipulative or exploitive or whatever the environment was. We've lost a lot of the community that supports us, and it's harder and harder to get our music out to people, unless we just kind of like just shoot it through Spotify and hope, hope for the best. So to fans and listeners, it's first, it's appreciation. I really am thankful for it, and also acknowledgement that there's a responsibility, I think, for audiences now to try to support their favorite artists.